Good morning, my Teaserking family. It is the professor, the Teaserking, coming to you with the championship games of the NFL 2021. We're down to 2 games and the Super Bowl. I've discussed most of this on Thursday. Just wanted to review anything new or any other questions or comments, any other injuries, anything like that. So let's back to the lines. I got Cincinnati 7 or 7.5, over under 54.5. I got the Rams 3.5, over under 45.5. My first thought, Kansas City is the A team here. They score 30, give up 22. Cincinnati is a B team here, scoring 27, approximately giving up 22. The Rams are a B team, scoring 28, giving 22, even with Cincinnati. And Frisco is I made them a B team because of the way they played their last couple of games. Must win, and they're winning. They scored 24 and give up 21. So the best defense is the Niners. They held Dallas and Green Bay under 20 points. And I watched the Niner game the last week of the year. And they really, the Rams, Stafford gets a couple of lucky touchdowns hitting the tight ends, and then he doesn't show up the rest of the game. And then it goes up 17-0, and then the Niners come back and tie the game, and then Stafford disappears, which is his MO. Detroit, he would score early. He'd score that first drive. They'd go up 7. Maybe he'd get one more, and then he disappears. And he doesn't do anything in the second, third quarters. And then they're down 20 in the fourth quarter. Then he starts scoring. And then they usually lose close because he could score in the fourth quarter, but he couldn't, it was like they couldn't hold leads. He doesn't know how to play with the lead. Turns the ball over a great deal. And that's his nature. So that's what the Rams do. They did it with Tampa last week. They get up 27-3. The guy fumbles at the goal line, giving the ball to Cam Akers. Then when it gets tight, what does he do? He misses a snap from center, and then he again, Akers fumbles, and then he fumbles again. And then he gets that last little touchdown. So where they kick the field goal. But he's not clutch. He's not a winner. So can a team without a quarterback, San Francisco, make the Super Bowl just with the running back from Louisiana Lafayette and Deebo Samuel and a great defense? And usually defenses, Trent Dilfer won the Super Bowl. He's terrible. Phil Simms won a Super Bowl. Even Hostetler won a Super Bowl. So you don't need the quarterback. That's proof, as long as you have the killer defense. And the Niners defense, to hold the Packers to 10 points, and theoretically they scored 7 on the first drive, so they held them to 3 points the rest of the game's unbelievable. KC Cincinnati, again, KC jumped out on Cincy 28-7 or something, and then Cincy came back, and it was a lot of mostly Chase. Chase breaks some tackles and score, and he would go from there. So you have a lot of that. So I just see that's KC's a lot like the Rams. They get up early on you. Look what they did to Buffalo. They get up on Buffalo and they get up 10, and then they give it back. So it's just signs they don't have that strong of a defense. So again, the picks, you got the Niner Ram game. You go with the Niners because they've won the last 10 games, or last 7 games against them. And then you go with KC Cincinnati, you go with the I think Cincinnati in 13's the better play here, but I like the game over with the 2 quarterbacks. So again, it's take the over KC Cincinnati and then take the Niners as the dog in a game in a series that they dominate, and usually the stronger defenses win in the playoffs. The misnomer about Buffalo, you thought they had a strong defense, but it was misleading because they played the Jets, Miami, and New England 6 games. And then Buffalo played Jacksonville and Houston. I mean, they had a really weak schedule. When they played the good teams, they scored on them like Indy and Tennessee and Kansas City. So that was a misleading defense. The Niners, on the other hand, play Seattle, play the Rams, play Arizona. And for them to have a 21 defense is a real defense. So look for the Rams, look for the Niner defense to keep them in the game, keep the game close, 9.5, good play. And then with Burrow and Mahomes, no matter what, KC should score. Mahomes, since he'll score, so that game usually goes over 54-48. I can't imagine this game not getting in the 50s. 28-24 is a 52, and I can't imagine the winner doesn't get into the 30s here. Check the weather. It's like a 30-degree, 35-degree day, which has no impact on pro football. Of course, the Rams are at home, so it's in a dome. It doesn't really matter. So what else? I don't see a lot of injuries. Garoppolo's thumb has been bothering him, but hasn't really affected him. Let's see. Jesus Christ. The running back Mitchell on Frisco is probable with the knee. I'm sure every player out there has a hurt knee or a hurt ankle. I don't think that's any. Everybody's injured. You just have to understand that. But you can play with certain injuries. Can't play with broken leg. Although Jack Youngblood played a Super Bowl against Pittsburgh with a broken ankle, but again, it's not the same. You can break a bone in it, but it's not like the joint. So if you break here, you're not running on it. But if you break maybe this bone, then you go, I got a broken ankle, and you really don't. But there's a bone that's broken, but it's not your push-up bone. Anyway, the Rams and the Niners, basically both teams have been to the Super Bowl the last few years. Both teams choke. Both coaches choke. So we'll see what happens. Obviously, one of them goes, but I like the Niners' chances over Stafford and Cincinnati KC again. I don't know if Burrow is ready yet, so we'll see if he's ready. But otherwise, KC probably wins a close game. Like if it's like last week, if it's close at the end, Mahomes will probably score and win it. Unless Cincinnati gets a big lead, then it would prevent that. But we'll see what happens with that. Should be 2 good games. Let's do some scoring. Forgive me, I'm eating breakfast at noon. Let's go with the Niners 20-17. And let's go with 30-28 KC. Somewhere in that game should be close. I'm still baffled at KC laying 7.5. Seems like a big number, but I can see why it is that number. It's everybody with Mahomes, right? They like the offense. Since he's got a decent defense, let's see, they gave up 19 to Oakland and 16 to Tennessee. You can't count the last week; they didn't try. Then they gave up 31 to KC. So that's where I'm going with it. But most of those points, I think they got 28 in the first half. So they shut them down the second half. Cincinnati should know how to play them, but you can only shut down Mahomes so much. He'll still get his points. Anyway, waiting for class. Now, I know I had a long video last time. If you missed near the second half, I did talk about baseball cards, how to buy them, grading cards, and cards that are graded and not. I did talk about, again, gold and Bitcoin investments, only because it's really hot on the news, what's happening in the country and everything else. And I think people should understand it because it's not really taught. And that ends up where a lot of people get hurt. I just don't want to see that. Outside of that, not much else to say. I'm waiting for class. I'll give it a few more minutes. Again, this is for you guys, not for me. Thursday's video was basically the picks. So it's the Niners and the over. Nothing really new. No, Tyrann Mathieu is playing, so that'll help KC. But again, he had a concussion. Can he play a whole quarter? We'll see. The Niners, everybody, Samuel's, I guess, healthy. Mitchell's healthy. Garoppolo with the hurt thumb for the last 6 games, so that's not a big deal. And the Rams, live and die by Stafford, I guess. So good luck there. There's a reason he lost so many games at Detroit. And it wasn't all Detroit. There was a reason he lost all the big games. I remember one year they had to just win one game out of the last 4 to win the division. And he choked away all 4. That's who Stafford is. So I don't expect him. I don't think he's much better than Jared Goff. So I don't expect him to all of a sudden be a superstar in the Rams. So just be leery of that. I was looking at eBay for baseball cards and, well, not baseball. I kind of go 1979 PSA 10s and I see what the values are and see what's going on there. So it's always interesting to see. Stay away from rookies that you don't know. You're better off buying a Joe Burrow card now than when he was a rookie, because you just don't know, Lamar Jackson, his cards won't have any value, or Jalen Hurts or Tagliabue. These guys aren't very good. So if you bought them as rookies, I hope you bought them cheap, but I wouldn't spend a lot of money on them. Go to the Tom Brady cards, go to the, Burrow, Mahomes, go to the guys who are winners. What else? Try to avoid these idiots on the TV or radio trying to get picks and analysis. They really don't know what they're talking about. In my case, I'm a sharp. Whatever a sharp is, I'm good at it, okay? I am the cream of the crop of picking and understanding football because I've been doing it my whole life, and I know what I'm looking for and what's important and what's not. And when I hear these guys on ESPN or these other stations or on the radio, they don't know what they're talking about. They're just idiots. So don't let them influence your pick. I'm trying to educate you so you pick your own games, right? So what do? I say, okay, let's look at the score. Take San Fran, LA, no points, pick the score of the game. Well, that's educating you how you can pick your game. There's a whole lesson in life that says I can give you a fish and you'll eat for a day, or I can teach you to fish and you'll eat the whole life. Well, that's what I'm doing here. Instead of just giving, here's the pick, and you win, and then you go, okay, what's next? I'm teaching you how to fish, eat your whole life. So that's step one is look at the game with no points and pick the score. And when you can do that, and you'll be bad at it at first. Sometimes it's logical. You're looking, going, well, Mahomes will score points. Burrow, he'll probably score points. It was 35-31 in the first game, so both teams will drive. So you start analyzing the teams. How good's their offense? How good's their quarterback? How good's their defense? Can they run? Is their coach an idiot? Which seems to happen a lot now. The coaches are idiots. The reason Buffalo lost because the coach keeps going for on fourth down. You got to play ball control. You cannot go for it at your own 30-yard line on 4th and 1. Any coach that does that does not know how to coach, does not understand the game. I tweeted that as soon as he did it. I said, this guy's an idiot. Then he did it again at the goal line. You take your points. It's a playoff game. So you don't get the points. Guess what? Game goes to overtime. Guess what? Had you kicked the field goal, you would have won. But you didn't, so you went. You didn't get it, and there you go. And that's what happens a lot. Plus, it's a big emotional turnover. So when you fumble, it's a big emotional, and the same thing here. When you don't make the fourth down, it's very emotional for the other team. Even when you don't go for it when you go for it on 2 and you for 2 points and you don't get it, it's emotional. The coaches don't get that. They want to look at this analytics, which is bullshit. It doesn't work. It doesn't work in baseball. It doesn't work in football. And I don't know any sport because you can't take human emotion out of it. You can't take a turnover out of it, a fumble. You cannot put that into a formula and an algorithm and say, well, if I get the first down here, I got a 67% chance of scoring. It's such bullshit. It's not realistic. It's not real. It doesn't really, nobody questions it. In other words, if they say, well, you got a 70% chance, well, who's questioning that? Where are you getting that number from? You can say 70, but is it real? And it's not, and there's different factors. So algorithms are a bunch of crap. They're crap in the stock market, and they're crap in the football. Any coach that listens to that instead of understanding the game doesn't know how to coach. It's like me handicapping. If I just handicapped on some math formula, I would lose 99% of the time because you cannot put you can't put all the variables into a math formula. I tried to discuss this with my friend Nick, who comes on. He wanted to try to formalize it, and I said, there's too many variables. When a team is in week 5 versus a team in week 15, the team in week 5 maybe needs it, maybe doesn't. Team in 15, maybe they need it, maybe they don't. You're going to get different. Is that variable plugged in? So a team needs to win to make the playoffs. Is that in the variable? A team in week 3 doesn't. Are you using the same variables? I remember a couple of years ago, New England still had Brady, and they had lost their first 2 games. I think that was when he wasn't playing with that stupid thing. And then it was like in Buffalo had taken a 2-game lead, or Miami. I think Miami was like 4-1, and New England was like 2-3, and they were playing each other. And I locked New England, even though their records, and they won by like 30 points. And it was because they had to win. Well, good luck putting that into a formula. You don't know to put it in a formula. That's why you can't use formulas. Formulas do not work picking games. They do not work. They can mathematically work if you're counting cards and blackjack to a point, but they still don't work. You still got to go. It all comes down to streaks. So I can count cards. So if I'm playing blackjack, even though I can count cards, and I can see the deck's real rich in 10s. Well, if I'm losing because the dealer's hitting blackjack and I'm hitting, and I'll get a 19, and I know the deck's rich in 10s, the dealer turns over 20. Well, I know the deck's got a lot of 10s, doesn't mean I'm going to win. If I get 18, the dealer's going to turn over 20. He is a 10. The deck's rich in 10s. He's going to turn over 20. You can't look at it like that. That's why I don't believe this blackjack club won a lot of money. I think that's bullshit because I know I play. You can't do that. You don't count cards. You play streaks. It's all about going with the streak. If red's hitting, go with red. If black's hitting, go with black. You can't go with red if black's hitting because you can't, because black's going to keep hitting. You can only win one time. Okay, reds do. Blacks hit 10 times in a row. I would keep betting black. You keep betting red. The next hand black hits. The next one black hits. Now red hits. Okay, so I've won a couple more. Maybe I got on the streak at 5. So I've won, let's say, 7, 8 in a row. You've been losing with red. So you finally get to red. and you get to the end where, okay, now red's finally hit. So you've lost on black 3, 4, 5, 6 times in a row. Now you win on red. Well, how much did you even win? Now what do? What's due now? Well, you had 10 blacks in a row, now red. Now where are you? And this is the problem with the trying to go the other way with it. It doesn't work. There is no there's no way you can gamble like that. But if you gamble with the streak, I can keep betting black. Now red hits. Now I pause and I go, well, let's see what happens. Now if red hits the next couple of times, now I jump on red. So I'm not emotionally attached, and I'm letting the numbers hit. Now you might get red, red, black, red, red, black, red, red, black. And then, okay, black hit. Now I'm going to bet red. Then I'm going to bet red. Then I'm going to bet black. Whatever the pattern is what you want to bet, be it in roulette, be it in backrack, be it in craps. I was at a table. I'll give you a story. I was with my dad and my brother and my dad's friends. And one guy was a serious crap player. And we're in Vegas, and we walk up to a table, and I see a guy rolling, and I just get this feeling he's a loser. And I get those feelings on people, and he's a loser. You should see me. Don't play poker with me. If you see me in Vegas, say hi. Don't play poker with me. So I see he's a loser. The points maybe 10 or 6 or 8 or whatever the point was. He sevens out. My dad's friend, who bets heavy duty, looked at me like I was, God. How did you know? And I'm looking at him like, you play all the time for big money and you don't know how to look at a guy and size him up. And then another guy came, and this guy looked like James Bond. And I go, there's your winner. So a lot of it was looks, but it was a feel. And then he rolled and hit, 10 numbers. And but you play the feel. There's a feel that you have. And I get it with the games, with the football games. I get it if I'm playing backrack. If I'm playing craps. Now, what you do when you play craps is watch the numbers hitting. Again, it's the streaks. So if I'm I'll play craps, usually the pass line, but I'll watch if the table is a don't pass table, meaning guy comes out, rolls maybe an 11, then maybe a 12, then he hits a 6, and then he sevens out. That's a cold table. I don't play the pass line and all the numbers into that table. And the reason is because the streak there's a lot of 7s coming at the table. There's a lot of 2s and 12s coming at the table. I don't want anything to do with it until I start seeing 6 and 9 and 5 and 9 and 6. Now I get a little excited and play the numbers. The next lesson is, okay, so you always want to play with the streaks, play with the numbers. That's how you win, because you don't. If you don't, how do you figure out what to bet next? You can't. It's all, then it becomes, as much as mine's all luck, but at least I'm going with the streak. So red, red, red. I'm going to bet red. Red keeps hitting. There's no skill involved, but the skill of following what's hitting and going with the flow. That's the skill. Otherwise, I don't have skill red or black, except for if red hit 5 in a row. I'm going to bet red 100% of the time. And maybe it blacks out. Okay, I lost one bet and I'll wait for the next run. But eventually I'll hit the reds, and the red will hit 6 times, 7 times, 10 times. And then I'm hitting it from 5 on. I'm hitting winning. And I'm increasing my bet as I'm winning. That's the key to how to bet. Really, it's the key to anything, is increasing your bet. And taking your profit is really the key to gambling in Vegas, football betting, stocks, gold, anything. It's the key to everything, is going 30% and winning. And that's what you can do with this streak method. Sorry, my back's itching. So what is the streak telling you, well, so let's say I played. Here's how I was taught. Let's say I played blackjack and I win. So I'm playing, let's say $5. So I win. Then my next bet's $10, and I win. And my next bet's $15, and I win. My next bet's $25, and I win again. I keep 25 and I pull it back. So I start now pulling back, and then I lose. What do? I go back to $5. Then I lose 5. I lose 5. I lose 5. I lose 5. So I can lose 4 hands in a row, $20. But when I won from 5 to 10 to 15 to 20, so I win 5 hands in a row. I win about, well, let's see, from 5 to 10, I didn't win anything. From 10 to 15, I won 5. From 15 to 25, I won 5. 25, I won. So I win 35 by winning 5 hands in a row. If I lose 5 hands in a row, I lose $30. I've actually made money going 50% because of the way I bet. I won more when I'm winning, and when I lose, I keep losing $5. So that's how I win. Anyway, that's really the key to it. Is how to bet, how to play a streak. Excuse me. So that's what gets me to. That's how I learned how to bet. Craps is obviously the same way, where craps is you're looking at the numbers that are hitting. So back to my dad's friend, and I see I start rolling. I said, now bet, and I'm 6s, 9s, 8s, 7, boom, 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 boom. So when the 7s are hitting, you don't want to play the pass line. You want to play the don't. When the 6s and 8s and 9s are hitting, you want to play the numbers. So it's really whatever's happening is what you're going to follow. And that's really, anyways, I'm frozen, I think. Okay. So that's how you're looking to play everything, stocks, craps, any type of gamble. That's what you're looking to do is you play this, you go with the streak. So in football, what do? The Niners and the Rams. The Niners won the last 6. So why would we play the Rams? You can't play the Rams. Now, here you got the Rams 3.5. We can get 9.5. So then it makes it, okay, well, not only do the Niners win the last 6, but I've got them getting 9.5 points. So now I'm in really good shape with the Niners and the 9.5 getting. So they've won the last 6 and they're getting points. So they'll probably win, but if they lose, you still got 9.5. You have the streak of the team that keeps going, they match up well. They're psychologically, there's a lot of psychology in football. There's a lot of psychology in life where, this person's not friendly. This person talks to me. So you're going, well, I'm going to stay away from that person. They're not friendly. They don't like me. This person likes me. So that's how you make friends. They like you. And the ones that don't talk to you, they don't like you. So you just stay away. And that's what you do in football. So again, Frisco is not scared of the Rams. Some teams might be. Cincinnati, KC. Cincinnati beat KC. They're not going to be afraid of Mahomes. Anything, they're afraid of Burrow and Chase. So as long as you have Burrow and Chase out there, Cincinnati's got a really good chance to win and at least to play. I mean, Mahomes, yes, he looked great against Buffalo, but this Buffalo is not Cincinnati. Is Cincinnati's defense? Well, hard to say because of the teams that Buffalo played. They weren't, obviously, in the playoffs. Buffalo, what did they do? New England got 17 on them with a terrible quarterback, and KC puts up 42 on them. Oh, how good is their defense if they get 42? You never see the team put up 42 on Lawrence Taylor. You never see a team put up 42 on the Bears. Well, Marino had that one game, but outside of that, you didn't even get first downs on the Bears, or when the Niners had the good defenses in the 88, 89 season. Even 90, I remember the 49er Giant game, 10-10. I mean, that was it. I think the Niners won 13-10 on a Monday night, and they were both undefeated. So that's what you have. So streaks are critical. Psychology is critical. Can you beat the other team? That's why, what do I say? The first thing is, what's the head-to-head matchup? Because that tells me psychologically, the one team can't beat the other. There was a time in the 70s that I think Miami beat Buffalo with O.J. Simpson. When Miami went to the Super Bowl 3 years in a row, they beat Buffalo like 17, 18 times in a row. You don't think that was in Buffalo's head, that we can't beat Miami? And until they finally, it was a matchup nightmare because of Zonka. So they couldn't, and the defense. So Buffalo, they could stop OJ from running because of Miami's defense. So that's basically why Buffalo couldn't beat Miami. It was a matchup issue. But believe me, it got in their heads when Buffalo saw Miami coming. They ran the other way. So that's very critical in most of life. Correlations. You have inflation, gold should be going up. You have inflation, the value of the dollar is dipping, prices are going up. So it's a correlation. What's going to happen? Well, if they don't raise interest rates, inflation will never stop. If they do raise it, they're going to kill the economy and the stock market and the housing market. So they're really screwed what they can do. But if you don't see interest rates rise to a long thing, what happens is gold goes through the roof. That's why I'm telling you to buy gold and silver, is because they can't raise interest rates, means inflation. And all inflation is you're hurting the value of the dollar. You're making it worth less. That's inflation, right? Anything else is bullshit. Inflation is about you're printing more and the dollar is worth less. Therefore, all the goods cost more because you've hurt the value of the dollar. You need more dollars to buy it. So therefore, that's why people say buy gold and silver. Why we're not on Bitcoin is because Bitcoin's not an asset. As the value of the dollar goes down, is Bitcoin going to go up? Why would you run to Bitcoin? What is it? I can't go to the grocery store with Bitcoin. Not that I can go with gold, but I can go with gold. I can exchange gold for cash and get a lot more cash with gold than I can with Bitcoin. Where do you go to exchange your Bitcoin? This I don't know. I know I go to a coin store and I turn my gold in for whatever the currency is. But I know the value of the gold will buy me more currency. Bitcoin's not an asset, so therefore I don't know that it holds its value. I don't know what its value is really. So it's kind of reacting like a stock, but it's not a stock because it doesn't have a balance sheet, or there's no, like Microsoft. The company makes products that make money, so at least you're owning part of Microsoft when you buy the stock. But when you buy gold, you just own the gold, which will keep its value like a can of tuna fish. Keeps its, the can of tuna goes up because it costs more dollars to buy it. Well, same thing with gold. Easily, it costs more dollars to buy it. So that's why you buy it, basically, because it holds it. So that's the bottom line. But again, you go with the streaks. What's the streak doing? Well, they're printing. The more they print, you keep buying gold. When they stop printing, you stop buying gold. But the gold will keep its value. So depending if you're playing craps, if you're playing anything with numbers, let me put it that way. I'm a numbers person. I love math. I love analyzing. I love problem solving. So what I've done with football is, when I started, I would make picks and I'd win by betting the Steelers in the 70s. I go, okay, they'll win, and they would win, and you'd win money on it. And then the 80s hit. Now I'm betting Montana. So I really don't know what I'm doing, but I know enough to bet on the best players or the best team or the best coach. So I don't know why that works, but I know it works. And then what I've done now is actually come up with my methods that now I understand it. Like in college, oh, they got a terrible defense and a great offense, like Miami of Florida, like UCLA. They're an over team. Oh, a team with a great defense and no quarterback, they're an under team, sort of like the 49ers. So, well, look at Georgia. Georgia was a great team. They were a great under team. So now I'm getting to the next level of understanding what am I looking for. So now I'm looking for defenses. I know, where do the upsets happen? Why does the team, why did, let's see, where's an upset? Why did Frisco beat Dallas? Okay, Dallas was a 3-point favorite. Why did Frisco beat them? Well, because their defense was better. They held them to 17 points. They ran it down their throats. So the theory now is, if you have a good defense, you can pull the upset. You can beat the good offense, right? So when I look at Cincy KC, Cincy's defense isn't Georgia's defense, but their offense is. So this is almost like UCLA playing Miami of Florida, Kansas City, Cincinnati. Good quarterbacks, good offenses. They'll score a lot. This is what we're looking at is those type of teams. They don't really have strong defenses. They're okay. They can make some stops, but these quarterbacks should eat them alive. It's an over game. The Ram 49er game is more like a team with a good offense and not a great defense against the team who can run and play defense. So this is almost like Army playing maybe I don't know, like Oklahoma, and they played them 21-21. So Army's going to play your defense, and they're going to run the ball down your throat. They're going to take time off the clock. And the Rams, what do the Rams have? They got a good offense. The defense isn't good. They've got Aaron Donald, but Stafford throws the ball too much, so he doesn't rest the defense, so they don't score in the red zone because of Stafford. So they've turned into an over team. They were a B team. They were a good offensive team, solid running, good defense. Running teams have good defenses because the defense is rested. That's why the Niners have a good defense. They got a good defense, but when they run the ball a lot and the defense gets to sit on the sidelines for 7-8 minutes, they're rested. They're ready to go. And you're eating the clock and you're changing field position. So there was a comment I made last week about, I think it was who had Buffalo, New England. And I said, well, the difference in the game is it's not, okay, Buffalo beats New England, but they beat them with Mac Jones, right, who doesn't know what he's doing. They don't really coach him well at Alabama. It's a system thing where you got these little fast receivers running around, and the quarterback takes 2 steps and just throws it, and the guy's wide open because he's fast. And so the quarterback looks good, but he's really not that good. So what did I say? So Buffalo kills him. And what did I say? Well, this week they're not playing Mac Jones. They're playing Mahomes. They're not going to be able to do what they did to New England to Kansas City because you're not going to stop Mahomes. So Mahomes, so it's a different dichotomy, right? Now you got this good, now you got UCLA coming in, and Buffalo's defense isn't going to do what they did to a weaker offense. Sort of like an Auburn, right? So New England's like Auburn, good offense, good defense and a decent offense. Now they had to play UCLA, and UCLA beat them offensively. So that's what you learn is you start understanding why the pick. What do I tell you? Tell me why you're picking the game. Don't just say I like Alabama. Well, why do you like Alabama, Georgia? The second time they played, I said, Georgia's not going to sit down because now they need the game. The back's against the wall. It's a championship game where the game in the SEC title didn't mean anything. They were already in the playoff. Alabama was out. Alabama needed it more, and they won. So you're looking at all these factors, but you've got to learn the factors. So back in the 70s, I'm betting Joe Montana. Yeah, I knew enough about they needed the game to get into the playoffs. I've always known that variable since I was 5 years old. The injuries you always look at, is it a key injury? And really the only injury that mattered was Walter Payton out, was Barry Sanders out, or was Tom Brady out? And if it ain't any of those three, those type of players, and the linemen are out, who cares? Because another lineman comes in, and that's why I bitch about the draft, where I say, why are you drafting an offensive lineman in the first round when you get a guy at Notre Dame in the fifth round who's going to be just as good, if not better, than the guy in the first round who doesn't do it? Like Oakland, they got Leatherhead, and he's a wasted pick. He gets all these penalties, can't block, but you drafted him in the first round. You could have drafted the guy from USC, UCLA, Stanford in the fifth round, and he'd have probably been better because his Leatherwood stinks. And that's what happens. So because I look at things from a vast different angle, because I'm looking for correlation. So what do I mean by that? You inflate, gold goes up. All the price, all the value of the money goes down, which equals prices to go up because it takes more dollars to buy what you needed. That's correlation. If a guard gets injured, doesn't matter. Now the replacement comes in. Most of the time, not an issue. The quarterback goes out and the backup stinks, they lose. So there's the correlation. Is the quarterback injured? No. So it's cause and effect, right? It's the guy's a winner, we want him. The guy, Stafford's never done anything. Why is he all of a sudden, after 15 years of Lions, now going to just win a big game for the Rams? I mean, it just, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So he beat Arizona, who really was terrible at the end. He beats Tampa Bay, but he's got him 27-3. Mostly the defense is beating him, and then he fumbles twice and can't handle a snap back from center because he's looking the other way. You don't do that. Tom Brady doesn't do that. In the crunch time, he wins the game. So he did all he could to lose that game, and I'm sure he'll do all he can to lose this game here. So again, it's all, if A happens, B happens, right? You print money, prices go up because you make the value of the money down. You draft a good Jamar Chase, all of a sudden you win. You draft Joe Burrow, all of a sudden you win. You got Mahomes healthy, Casey's going to score a lot. Mahomes gets hurt, Casey ain't going to score a lot. So it's all relative to what's going on, and that's really what you're looking for. And that's what I've kind of gotten to, is the action-reaction of everything. So when I'm first betting in the 70s, it's bet the Steelers. And I'm Jack Lambert, Mel Blount, Franco Harris. Now what happens? Okay. Why did the Raiders win their Super Bowl in 76? One reason. Because Franco Harris gets hurt in the Baltimore playoff game and doesn't play. Bradshaw can't throw. He's a terrible quarterback. He threw so many interceptions. Yeah, he had some big passes, but look at all the plays Swan had to make because the passes were terrible. The Stallworth catches and against the Rams, he had to bend over because the passes were terrible. They didn't hit him in stride. You watch Brady, he hits a guy right in the numbers, right as he's running. Boom. Bradshaw, I don't think he had any passes where the guy just caught the ball. I mean, so he was terrible. So Franco Harris gets hurt in the Baltimore game. Now they go to Oakland, and they've won 2 Super Bowls in a row, and they got the better team. Franco Harris isn't there. He's the key injury. As far as I know, Joe Green's playing, Lambert's playing, Mel Blount's playing, but Franco Harris isn't. Their backup's not a good running back. Now Bradshaw has to win it for him, but they're a running team, right? They gave the ball to Franco Harris quite a bit. I mean, he'd get 25 carries a game for 110 yards, and he'd score in the red zone. He'd get you those touchdowns. So he's not playing. Well, like I said last show, 1984, no, 1974, what? Oakland, Miami in the game of the year. Miami's won 2 Super Bowls in a row. Ken Stabler, John Madden, and Oakland wins it, and then they're flat the next week. Well, that was the same Steeler team that beat Oakland, right? So now here it is 2 years later, and you virtually have the same teams, the same Steeler and Oakland teams. Stabler's out there, Dave Casper. You got the Steelers with their superstars, but you don't have Franco Harris. So one injury, the key injury, and they don't run the ball, and they don't. And Bradshaw throws all these interceptions because not a good quarterback. But they can't run the ball, so they become one-dimensional. Oakland pressures them, and Oakland wins the game. So, again, the action was Franco Harris hurting his ribs in the Baltimore game. The reaction is they can't run it against Oakland, and they lose, and Oakland goes on to the Super Bowl and kills Minnesota like every other team did. Sorry, Minnesota people. Your problem was you didn't have a running game or a defense that could stop the run. Your defense was geared at stopping the pass. But when you played teams like Larry Zonka and the Dolphins and even the Raiders and the Steelers who power run you, you did not have a defense that could stop that. Your defense was not created very smartly. It was smart against you. You created it to stop Staubach in Dallas, but you forgot about the rest of the league who runs the ball. That's why they lost. So you always look at why did I win and why did I lose? That's the key to betting. You can do that in poker. I watch poker on YouTube a lot, and I've never seen – these guys are supposedly pros. I've never seen such idiots in my life. So I get pocket kings. And the flop comes queen jack 5. Why am I checking? I don't want to be checking because a pair of kings is not a good hand in poker once 5 cards are dealt. It's a good hand only in the beginning. Just like pocket aces is only good before the cards are dealt. As soon as there's 3 cards out there, pocket aces shrinks like this. You have to make your bet at that point. You cannot wait. Then the 4th card. Now there's 4 cards out there. Straights and flushes get filled. 2 pair get filled. Trips get filled. You cannot sit there. So I will watch a hand where a professional has pocket kings, checks the flop. Maybe the other guy bets. Probably the other guy bets because he senses weakness because the guy's checking. Then the turn comes. Now, this is the key to hold them. When the turn comes is your bet card. Because once the river comes, the guy's either made the flush or straight and you lost, or he missed and he's unless he bluffs at you, you're going to make far more money betting on the turn and not letting him get to the river, making him pay to get to the river. And most of the time, he'll probably miss the river, but now you're lost. So I have kings. The flop comes, queen jack 5. I'm betting. I'm not checking, because I've already bet my kings. So the guy must know I have a hand, unless I'm a total idiot. And I bet my bad hands as if they're good hands, like I'm fooling people. People aren't stupid. You can't assume people are stupid at the poker table. So you got your kings, you make your bet, you get some callers, queen, jack 5. Maybe the guy hit queens, maybe he hit jacks on you. Then you make your bet, and you see what happens. But if they made jacks, they're not raising you. If they might slow play if they hit a set of queens, okay. If they check raise you, you fold. But you don't check I don't like checking the flop on that, but I certainly don't like checking the turn. So now I've checked now 7's hit. So it's queen, jack, 7, 5. Maybe there's 2 to a suit. I got kings. I am not checking the turn. I'm making a big bet on the turn and seeing how my opponent reacts. I'm pretty much going to take it down unless he's hit queens or jacks. And then he's just going to call me because he's going, what the hell is this guy betting on? Again, you're using psychology here. And once that happens, then you're looking at it. So basically, you need to make your bet on the turn. You don't check the turn. So now you check the turn. So I see these guys who are supposedly pros who I sit there going, I'd love to play with them. Then the river comes. Maybe it's an ace, maybe it's a 4, whatever it is. You don't know where you're at. Now the guy makes a bet. Is he bluffing? Did he get two pair? Was he, you don't know what to do. And then I'll see him fold the kings. And you're like, what the fuck did you just do? How did you play that hand? Why didn't you bet at least if you're not betting the flop, you bet the turn. The turn will tell you if he's on a draw, he'll check. He'll call you. And if he's hit his set, he's going to raise you. And that's it. I mean, there's no, it's very easy, but you got to make the bet. You've got to bet in the game. You can't check because you've got to know where you're at. You've got to act to get the reaction. Okay, so you can see where action reaction comes into poker. So if I bet and he, more than likely, if it's Queen Jack 5 and I bet on the flop, he calls, he's hit the queen or the jack. So I know where I'm at. If another queen or jack doesn't hit, I'm fine. If he's hit a set, he's going to re-raise you. Maybe he'll just smooth call you. If I then bet the turn and he calls me and there's really no straight or flush out there, I got to be very careful. I'm not betting on the river. If they check the river and you bet and they come over the top, I call 100% of the time in 2 seconds. They're bluffing because they wouldn't have checked in the beginning. If they hit the straight or the flush, they're going to bet to get money out of you, especially if you've been aggressive. They know you're going to call, so they feel confident to bet. You call. If they check and you bet and they come over the top, they would have bet in the first step. Nobody's sitting there checking. Unless they think you're bluffing, they're not going to. So they have to get so they're all playing you, and then that's what you got to show them. The last thing is, and I do this every time, I get dealt pocket aces, I bet it. I don't sit there. I'm not Daniel Negreanu fucking around checking my aces like an idiot. I'm betting I'm betting my aces. How much depends on who I'm playing with. So much of poker is about who you're playing with. So I'll bet my aces. And I'll usually get one or two callers because it's a big bet and most people get crap. So they're not going to chase me with 3-8. And I don't care if they know I have a big hand or not. I'm not going to bet 3-8 like I bet aces. This is not going to happen because there's no point in bluffing before the flop. There's nothing in the pot. So if there's zero in the pot and you bet $50, what are you going to win? Everybody falls. You're only going to get called by a big pocket pair or ace king. Why do you want to do that? There's no point in bluffing without any money in the middle. So I got aces. The flop comes 7-8-5. Or no, let's go 7-8-3. So there's just a 2-card straight out there. And I'm second in position. So the first guy checks to me and I go and bet my whatever, if I'm I usually play $1 So I maybe make a $30 bet for two reasons. One, if the guy did flop a set, I'm out at $30. If he didn't flop the set, I'm betting enough to get him out in a $1, $2, $300 buy-in, $400 buy-in table. Right? If you miss and it's a $30 to you and you got crap, why would you call it? Especially if I'm aggressive, I got a hand. What are you going to bluff me on the river with nothing? No, that's not going to happen. You could try it, but if you want to bluff a guy who's not betting. You don't want to bluff a guy who's betting because he's got a hand. More than likely he's going to call you. So now, and I lost my internet, I think. So check comes, $30, $40 comes. He raises me. So he's checked to me, I bet, and now he goes $80. It takes me about 1 second to fold. Howard, how can you fold that? Because what would he be doing that with? If he had 4 to a straight, let's say, or he hit a pair, he's just calling. He knows I've got a big hand or thinks I have a big hand. He wouldn't want to get me off my hand. So he wouldn't want to, if he's going to bluff me, he'd bluff me in the beginning. Once I make my bet, he knows I got a hand. How are you going to bluff me off my aces? It's not going to, you're not thinking that I can bluff a guy who's betting a lot. You're thinking I can bet a guy who's checking, right? You're betting into you're bluffing against weakness. You're not bluffing a guy who made a big bet very often. Once in a while, if you think the bluff will get him off, some guys, like if they get raised, even though they have a good hand, they will fold. But generally, they won't, generally they'll call you. So it's not a real good idea to bluff those guys, right? So you're going to get called with a good hand most of the time. So therefore, you're not bluffing it. You're betting because you got cards. So again, it's the reaction. So if the guy comes over the top for $80, knows I got a hand, figures I'm going to be calling because that's the psychology of it. Oh, I got him. I got a set. I'm going to then raise him because he's betting. He's going to call me. I can win a lot. So it becomes I can win a lot is his thought process. So with that, you then I fold immediately because psychologically there's nothing else he could have. He either hit 2-pair, which has me beat, or he's flopped a set, which has me killed. So, excuse me. So that's action and reaction in the poker world. I use it in the stock world. I buy gold stocks. What is gold doing? If the price of gold goes up, the stock's going to go up. I'm going to buy the stock. If I see gold down $20, I don't buy it. If the first thing I do is see gold up $20 and my stock hasn't moved, I'm buying the stock. I know it's going to move because gold's moved. Now you got to keep in mind it's fixed. It's not the real number, but it still kind of goes with it. Anyway, so you can see the reaction to everything. Football, women, you smile, does she smile back? If she smiles back, you got a chance. If you look at her and she looks at you like you're crazy, you walk away from her. So again, it's action and you watch the reaction and go. So it works in everything. Where it works in football, again, is how they played before, what type of team they are. And that's what I'm looking for now in football. Is it UCLA? Is it Miami with these great quarterbacks and great offenses and average defenses? So now I'm reading the numbers and I know how to read them and I read them properly. Where before I didn't. I would have bet UCLA against a real strong defensive team going, oh, they're going to score a lot without understanding. You're playing Georgia, you're not scoring a lot, right? Arkansas got shut out and Michigan barely scored. And these teams didn't score a lot against Georgia. So you don't fuck with them. You go over, like if Miami played UCLA, that over-under would be 75. But that would be a high-scoring game. And that's the way it was with Miami. I locked Miami 4 or 5 weeks because I could see they were playing teams not named Clemson with this strong defense, but North Carolina State, Virginia, teams that give up 35 points a game. I knew they were going to score a lot. Miami, Wake Forest. I knew that game was going to 100. So then you could play. And then when you see the line and the spread's in the 50s, then it's a lock. If the spread was in the 70s, it wouldn't be. So again, it's action, reaction. It's looking for triggers that create help. And that's where I am the what do you call it? That's why I'm the sharp in football, as well as baseball cards, as well as stock, because I look for the reasons. And then once I get the reason, I know basically if I see X happen, Y is going to happen. So when I see once I understand why they're printing, because they fucked themselves and they're trying to give away money and they'll sell you, we're going to give you this. And nobody's asking where are you getting the money for it? Well, we're just going to print money. Well, what's that going to do to the money if you print it? Well, that's going to make it worth less. Well, I don't want money. You're giving me 100 that's really worth 50. So this is the disconnect. And this is why they don't teach you it at school, because you'll know, but this is why you watch me, is I'm trying to tell you what they're not. But you've got to trust me that I'm not trying to hurt you. I'm not making money off of any of this that I'm saying. It's all for your protection and your interest in your pockets. So when I tell you to buy buy a numbered baseball card, buy something that says 8 out of 10 or 10, it's because it's going to help you, because it's limited. It's got a very small, they only printed 10 of them. That's why I'm telling you, it's for you. I'm teaching, right? I'm the professor. I love the professor because he was so smart. But that's the point. So it works in everything, right? If numbers are hitting 6s and 8s and 9s and craps, you play the numbers. If you see 7s hitting a lot, get the hell away from the numbers. Play the don't pass, because they're going to throw a number, 7 out. Throw a number, 7 out. You can just see it. You can see when the table's cold, and when the table's cold, I play the don't pass. You can play the don't pass throwing the dice. And I'll throw a 10 and 7 out, and there you go. And I make money because I know the 7s are hitting. Everything hits and streaks. I've learned this when I was 21 years old. My uncle from Toronto was a professional gambler, and I'm playing blackjack, and I don't know what I'm doing, and I'm not winning. I'm winning a lot of hands, and I'm not winning money. And then I met him, and he taught me about streaks and saying, bet more when you're on the streak and bet less when you're on the other end of the streak. And that's it. And that's the key to my success in anything. Football, who's the hot team? Baseball, you get teams winning 10, 15 games in a row. Basketball, mostly it's mostly football where the team gets strong, and then the matchup. The defense, are they playing like the Big Ten has a lot of good defensive teams, and the ACC has a bunch of weak defensive teams, and the Pac-10 has a bunch of weak defensive teams, and the SEC this year had a bunch of weak defensive teams. See, that's why you look at the numbers, because you get confused. You go, oh, the SEC, great defense. Not this year. Auburn was good. Georgia was great. Florida wasn't. Alabama wasn't. Mississippi wasn't. I mean, half the teams weren't. Arkansas was decent, but you had better defenses in the Big Ten. But you're looking at the numbers, and then now you know what to look for. So next year, what happens? So what do I say to you in the beginning? We got to wait a few weeks so we can sort out who the Georgia defenses are and who the UCLA and Miami offenses are, because you got new quarterbacks, and you don't know. You can't scout these guys in high school. So when all of a sudden Dick Van Dyke comes up out of Miami in week 4 or week 5, and he starts lighting it up, you didn't see that. King was the quarterback in the beginning. He sucked. He barely beat App State. If Van Dyke plays App State, they beat him by 30 points. So again, you've got to wait to see. And then now Van Dyke's there. Now we're betting Miami over. Oh, look at this Georgia defense. They played Clemson in the first game. It would have been $1,000 lock had they played in week 7. But they played in week 1, and I didn't know Georgia's defense is going to be that good, or Clemson's defense. They were both perfect under teams playing each other. And of course, the game was 10-3 or something. Of course, it was going to go under, but you didn't know that week 1. So that's why. But by week 4 or 5, what did I do? I locked Georgia's defense. I went Georgia under. I bet you I had 10, 11 locks, Georgia under, almost every week, Georgia under, and almost every week but one, Georgia under 1. And that's my point. Miami over, UCLA over. These were all, then Utah came in. That's what I'm saying, but you've got to look at who's going to be the hot team next year. So I can't keep playing Miami. I can't play Georgia under if, depending on how many guys come back. I'm pretty much going, well, okay, let's watch and see if Georgia's defense is as good next year as it is this year. That's really the key, what you're looking at. And if they're not, who is the Georgia defense? That Georgia defense you won't see again for 20 years, a defense like that. Wisconsin's usually pretty good, and maybe Iowa, but not like Georgia's. Not because they'll play games against better teams, and Iowa gives up 35 points. Georgia don't give up 35 to anybody. So that's my point, and that's what you're looking for. So in the pros, what's been happening is I'm looking for the action for the reaction, and I can't find the action because what happens is the coach moves. They fire the coach. So there's new coach. Urban Meyer comes in. Oh, now he's gone. And you bring in Tagliavua. Now you bring in Trevor Lawrence. I don't know what trigger he is, right? So I can't analyze how Jacksonville is going to be with Trevor Lawrence except for what I watched in college. And I say, well, he was not good in the big games in college when Clemson played Ohio State, Alabama. He didn't show up. He didn't complete 4% of his passes. The only reason he beat Ohio State was he ran. But when he had to go back and pass, he couldn't read the coverage. He couldn't get away from blitzes. He was not, he wasn't like Joe Burrow was. So when I see Joe Burrow in college and he's putting up 50 points on Alabama and 50 points on Georgia, and Florida, all these really strong defense, or he was LSU, Auburn, I know what he's going to be like in the pros, but Trevor Lawrence didn't do that. Why didn't he? Why did Joe Burrow, look so strong in college, and now he's doing it in the pros, but yet Trevor Lawrence didn't look like that? Why not? And now Trevor Lawrence is in the pros, and he looks like he did in college. And this is why I make the comments. It's the action reaction that I'm seeing, and the reaction is Trevor Lawrence, and the reaction is he can't handle good teams. I heard Urban Meyer say, every week's like playing Alabama. Oh, this is the NFL. This is what my biggest point is about injuries for most guys. It's the NFL. They're all pros. When a lineman gets hurt, the other lineman comes in as professional, or the linebacker or the receiver. It doesn't matter. Very few times a Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers, a Mahomes, no, their backup is not going to be as good. But when you lose, look at the 49ers. They're playing with my man from Louisiana, Lafayette Mitchell, and they throw a receiver, Debo Samuel, in the backfield. Their starting running backs aren't even playing. They're not even. They're all injured. And yet, again, these guys are pros. And again, bad coaching. This Mitchell should have been the starter right away. Why wasn't he? Clearly, he's got a stronger skill set than any running back on that team. And yet the coach isn't smart enough to go, that guy's got skill. Like, if I'm coaching, I see Joe Burrow and I go, this guy's starting right away. If I see Lawrence, he's never being drafted. And then if I got him, he's never playing because he can't do it. He doesn't have the skill. He doesn't know how to read a blitz. He wants to run. That's not what I want to. That's not what I'm cooking. To quote The Rock, it's not what I'm cooking. I'm cooking. I want a pocket passer. I want Mahomes. I want Rodgers. I want even Garoppolo sticks in the pocket. Stafford sticks in the pocket. Burrow. All these 4 quarterbacks left, they're all stick in the pocket. Yeah, Mahomes runs a little bit, but really he's looking to pass. So's Stafford. So's Burrow. He can run, but he's not. He's in the pocket. But see, here's where Burrow is. Burrow is already at Brady's level. Why do I say that? Because when Burrow goes to the line of scrimmage, he's already reading the defense. And what does he do? He goes to Chase because he sees that's the escape. If I throw the ball to Chase, he could go all the way. And that's why you see him catch a pass and go 50 yards or catch a slant and go 60 yards because he knows. He looks at the defense. He already knows where he's going to go he knows the weakness, right? He's already at that level where Rodgers is, where Brady is. When they get to the line, they know where they're throwing the ball. And that's the key. And that's why I sit there and I go, Joe Burrow, he's great. Mahomes does this. But you look at Garoppolo doesn't do it. Stafford doesn't do it. Kyler Murray, what does he do? He waits till the guy gets open. He doesn't even know where the weakness in the defense is. He waits till the guy gets open and throws the ball to him. That's not a good quarterback. Jalen Hurts has no idea. He wants to run. Lamar Jackson has no idea, even after he takes the snap, where the weakness is and where he's going to do. He's hoping it breaks down and he runs. Oh, look, aren't I a great quarterback? I mean, it's the stupidest thing. You don't win with that. You win with a Burrow, Stafford. So if we look at these quarterbacks, even Garoppolo, I can win. Dak Prescott, I can win with, although I don't think he's very good. I don't win with Tannehill. Rodgers, again, I don't understand why he gets 10 points in the playoff. The Niners must have one hell of a defense to hold Rodgers to 10 points and hold Prescott to 17. And again, Brady, I want guys like that who can get to the line. That would be my first thing is when you get to the line, tell me where you're going to throw it. And if they can't, they're not ready to be my quarterback, and I'll get rid of them because that's what you need. You don't have time in this game, right? You don't have time. You got to see it and get rid of it. So that's the first thing you do is where am I going to go with it? And Brady knows that before he takes the snap. He knows that as he's walking up going, there's my bitch, the safety over there. I'm going to call Gronk to go to the safety. He's going to be wide open. Boom, boom, boom. And that's the difference. And that's the higher level. But that's what you're looking for. That's the action and the reaction. So when you watch these guys in college, this is why when I do my draft video and people bitch at me, well, how do you know? No, that guy's going to be good. And I go, no, he's not. Take Liverwood. No, he doesn't know how to read before the snap. What he did at Alabama. This is why I badmouth the Alabama quarterbacks because they don't know how to read before. What they do is they take the snap, they spread the offense. They got these little fast guys who are just little and fast. They don't usually do much in the pros. And they'll do crossing routes or something and they're wide open. And then the quarterback throws it when they're wide open and they're faster because this is college, not pros. And it's a system. It's a scheme. It's like Andre Ware at Houston. He's not a really good quarterback, but he does get good numbers. This is why Ohio State, Justin Fields, doesn't produce in the pros. They're not being taught how to get to the line and know where to throwing. What do? They drop back. Maybe they fake it to the running back, and then maybe he hits a Olave. Maybe he runs, but he doesn't know. He doesn't know how to do a blitz. He doesn't know how to get rid of the ball. Like, where's the weakness? They're not teaching that in most colleges. Where's the weakness? Where you go with the ball beforehand. Ohio State's just a system scheme itself. If there's so many men in the box, we're going to run. If there's more, we're going to throw. And if if they shift out of it, then the quarterback runs. But he doesn't get to the ball. He's not Joe Burrow and go, I'm going to do it. Now, the reason they score a lot is because the way that offense is set up in college, it's very hard to defend. It doesn't mean the quarterback's a superstar. It just means it's the type of offense. So, again, it's the act and the react. That's why I like the quarterback at Nevada until he sat out the bowl game. Or the kid at Fresno State, because they're winning the game, they're reacting, they're getting to the line, and they're knowing what to do. And the kid at Miami. So why did Miami go with Eric King, who played 10 years in college, I think, and he was so good, and then he gets there and he does nothing. And then here comes Van Dyke. Now, it's the same Miami team, but here comes Van Dyke. Why is Van Dyke successful where King wasn't? Because Van Dyke knows how to read the defense. And I can tell without looking. He knows where to go. When I watch his games and his highlights, he's got guys wide open. He says, boom, boom, chunking. They score 50 points a game. Well, how does that happen? He knows where to throw. I'm taking this Van Dyke in the draft. As soon as he's drafted eligible, I'll take him with my first pick. This guy's a winner by a mile. He's proven it. He knows what to look for. That's what I need in a quarterback. I don't need a guy who's fast. When I see I I saw something on Google yesterday, the top 5 prospects, and the kid from Mississippi's on there. Like, why? The kid from North Carolina who sucked this year. Why is he on? That's like Jordan Love on the Packers. Why is he on there? He had a good year. They changed quarterbacks. He sucked. He's not good. He just had a good coach the first year. So depending on his system, he can't read the defense. He doesn't know what he's looking for. And that's the point. So then when you go to bet the games, you want the quarterback, you want the quarterback that knows what he's doing. You at least want that advantage. That's why we bet Tom Brady and we bet Mahomes, and now we're betting Burrow because they know what they're doing, and it's a critical part of the game, especially now, the throwing of the ball. So that's what we're looking at. It's action, reaction. Boy, I really like it. I got on this topic. And you can see it fits in everything, right? Gold, stocks, blackjack, craps, God. And football, basically. So that's what you're looking for. So then when I do my draft video, I'm watching the guys in college. So this guy at Liberty, I don't like. The guy at Coastal Carolina, I don't hear him mentioning Grayson McCall at all. This guy's going to be a superstar. And the pros are going to say, oh, I didn't know this. Look at this. This is a steal in the 5th round. And I'm like, what are you kidding me? That's why I like Jake Fromm, what he did at Georgia. He knew where to get rid of the ball. That's why one guy's mocking me because he's on the Giants, who have no idea what they're doing, and saying, well, he's no good. Well, nobody's any good at the Giants. They could have Joe Montana could be on the Giants. Remember when Brett Favre played 1 year at the Jets, and then he went back to Minnesota, and he did nothing at the Jets because they had a terrible offense. Then he goes to Minnesota, and he looks good again. And Green Bay, he's great. So you can't judge anybody that plays for the Giants or even Jacksonville, any of these teams with these crappy offenses, and think it's the quarterback's fault. But I do think that Lawrence is not good. Watching him in college, he couldn't handle Ohio State. He doesn't know how to pick up a blitz. And that's why I talk about Josh Allen the way I do. He doesn't know what he's doing. He can't read the defense. What did he do last week that was so special? He hit a guy that was deep behind everybody. He hit another receiver for what would have been the winning touchdown because the defensive back fell down, and then he threw the ball. So he's reacting to the guy being open, right? The safety falls, the receiver is wide open, he throws it to him. The other guy gets behind everybody, he throws it to him. That's what Stafford does. They react. They don't know when they get to the line what they're going to do. And that's the thing, and that's the problem. That's why I like Jake Fromm. Jake Fromm knew what to do, right? He would get back, face really strong blitzes from Alabama or Florida, and he was fine with it. That's why I like him. So you can knock me, but you got to understand my logic. When I see him do it in college, normally when you do something good against Alabama with a normal defense, not this year's defense, you go, this guy's going to be good because Alabama's got all these pros on it because they pay their players to come. So they're getting the best players. And I go, okay, they pay their players. So he's facing pros. That's why when Alabama, why do I not like Tagliabue? Because he got his stats against Arkansas State and New Mexico State, teams that don't even have maybe 1 or 2 pros on them. And he's putting up all this yardage. But then when he plays LSU and Georgia and Clemson and Ohio State, he doesn't show up. So when he plays really good talent, he doesn't do anything. That's why I say it. So everybody's looking at his numbers, but the numbers are created by playing weak teams. The Michigan guy did that, and I can't remember. The guy who was just there, who was really highly touted, did the same thing. He was on Ole Miss, and he played weak teams and he lit it up. And then I said, oh, wow, this guy's a great quarterback. He beat Pacific and, Cal and, Seattle State. He's putting up all this yards. And then he started playing Alabama, Auburn, Georgia, and he'd go 5 for 20 for 80 yards and 3 picks. And I go, this guy's not very good. Then Michigan got some. I already know he's not very good because he was only good against weak teams. And that's what you look at. So, again, you have to have points to look at, which creates the bet. So how do I know the guy's good? As I watch him. And I know what keys I'm looking for. So like Joe Burrow, when I see him lighting up Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, Clemson, I go, this guy's going to be great. So I have good confidence in betting Joe Burrow this week on shit. I mean, they already beat KC 3 weeks ago. He beat a good Tennessee defense, getting sacked 9 times because Tennessee's got really good pass rushers, better than Kansas City. So he's going to have more time against Kansas City. So that's what I'm looking at are these things. And I'm going, well, I'm not scared with Joe Burrow. I'm going to get over because I know Mahomes is going to score because I'm watching him. And I know that obviously Burrow's going to score. So that's why I go over. And in the Ram-Niner game, I know, well, the Niners are going to run it down their throat and they're going to play defense. And they just shut down Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay. And it's the same thing here with the Rams. Stafford, does his finds a few open receivers and then goes away the rest of the game and fumbles it away. So he's gonna let the Niners back in if he takes the lead. And if the Niners take the lead, it's going to be a shutout. If the Niners get up 10-0, the game's over. The Stafford won't do anything. So if he gets the lead, he'll let him back in with turnovers. So that's what I'm looking at. So those are the keys to a lot of life. It's all action, reaction. You see a girl, you look at her, you watch the look back. If she likes you, she lets you know. If she doesn't like you, she ignores you. And that's the difference between escorts and regular girls. Escorts tend to be more friendly to you because they want your money. So they'll smile. They'll give you the reaction, but it's a fake reaction. They give you the smile and you go, oh, she likes me. That's why guys think like strippers like them, or because the normal reaction with the normal girl who doesn't like you, she doesn't give you anything. She doesn't smile or wave. So if I wave at a girl and she waves back, I know she likes me. If I wave at her or if I look at her and she looks the other way, no, she doesn't. That's why it works with the escorts or the strippers, because they'll smile at you and they're giving you that false sense of, oh, she likes me, when the normal girl very rarely will smile at you like that. I mean, you'll get a whole different reaction from the girl who's not after your money versus the girl who's after your money. So it's a false tell. Then you have to dig through it. Is she smiling and liking me for my money, or does she smile and like me for myself? And the only way to do that is then don't give her money and see if she still smiles and likes you. Or you give her a little, then you stop giving her. And then it takes, now is she still going to smile at you if you haven't given her money? If she does, then she really likes you. And if she doesn't, it's just, she just smiled and made you feel comfortable because she wanted your money. So she knows that reaction will get you to give her money, so the stripper, oh yeah, you can date me, but by the way, I need some money, versus the regular girl, who won't, but then you don't give her money and then she doesn't give you anything. Occasionally she'll like you, but it's always that feel, and you got to feel that reaction. My problem is I tend to feel a girl and I like her, but I don't know how to acknowledge it to her that I like you, especially when I don't know them. And I just you just look at a girl and you go, wow, I like her. That's the hardest type of thing, because they look at you like you're crazy. Like, how can you like me? You don't know me and I don't know you. And girls are really insecure like that, where they don't know the guy and they're real. And then until they know you, then they open up. So they're really scared for some reason. I don't know. They're just taught to be scared. It's bizarre to me, the whole relationship thing, but I don't want to really go there unless you guys want me to. But everything's a reaction. So you're betting players that will away. You're betting Joe Burrow because you've seen him against Alabama. You've seen him last week against Tennessee. You saw him against KC. You saw him against Baltimore. You know how he's going to react. You know how Mahomes will. It's a beautiful over game. This game's Miami, UCLA, KC, and the Ram-Niner game's more of a Clemson against maybe North Carolina, where the better defense should win. And, they're okay, the Rams, but they're not that strong. Well, anyway, so that's my lesson for today is action, reaction. You've got to learn the action and then learn what the reaction is. And I've given you quite a few examples between gold, stocks, baseball cards, quarterbacks, women, anything in life, gambling, poker. You're judging reaction. If I make it, so I'm playing poker. If I make a $20 bet, what's the reaction to it? And you got to learn the player. How does he react when you make $20 bets? If he normally folds, so I'll give you a good example. So I'm playing at MGM in Detroit, and it's more a working town. The guys are more conservative. The older guys, especially, they're only in when they got a good hand. So I know that. So I bet 20. Now, most of the time, if I'm playing an older guy, he folds. He calls me this time, but doesn't raise me. He's got a good hand, but my hand's better. So then I bet 20 on the turn, and again, he calls. And then the river comes. Now I got a full house. He probably has a pair of queens. I'll bet 100, knowing he's going to call because I can see he's got a hand, but he's not raising me, which he would do if you really hit a hand. And then he'll call the 100, and he'll go, I got queens. I go, I got a full house. It's watching the way they react. How do you deal with the bluffer? The bluffer bluffs when they have nothing and makes a big bet to get everybody out. But when the bluffer gets a good hand, they hit a set of kings. What does the bluffer do? The bluffer checks. The bluffer will not bet when they got a good hand because now they don't want you out. When they're bluffing, they want you to fold. They want to win the pot. But when they got a good hand, they don't bluff. They don't bet because they don't want you to fold. So if you catch a bluffer and they start betting, they are bluffing. When they are not betting, they have a hand. And you got to be very, very careful that you have a very strong hand to when you're playing a bluffer. And the only way to play them is if you got a real strong hand, make the bet, they'll call you. If you don't have that strong of a hand and they check, just check right back, say, okay, and hope you hit your full house and you can beat the bluffer because the bluffer's loaded. They've got the hand. So what do? It's the act and react in poker. Again, you're watching they bet. So when I make a $20 bet, how does the people react to it? Most fold. Now I got pocket aces. I bet 20. I'm expecting everybody to fold. When they call me, they've got something. When they raise me, they caught the goods and I better get the hell out. That's what you do, and that's why you make bets, because you want to see the reaction to your bet. Good luck trying to read me because I will go all over the place. When I got a good hand, I might check. When I get a good hand, I might bet. So when you're looking for my reaction, I give you multiple reactions because I know that's the key to it, right? You're looking for my reaction. Now, when they talk tells, I give so many fake tells, they don't know what the hell I'm doing. I've had a full house before, and I acted nervous and pushed over my chips. The guy calls me, and I turn over a full house. No, I wasn't nervous. I did it on purpose so you would call because I wanted to call because I had a full house. And I know you're watching me. So, A, you got to know people are watching you at everything. And then B, they're looking at how you react, and you're doing that. That's why when you see these Daniel Negreanos and Phil Hellmuth, you look at them like they're a bunch of idiots because they make such stupid bets. Hellmuth likes to slow play everything. So when he bets, he's got nothing. Negreanu, I don't even understand how he plays. He makes a bet with nothing. Then he gets pocket aces and he checks. So he's almost like a bluffer, but he'll call everything. So he thinks he can read you. So if you make a bet, he thinks, he doesn't have it. I got a pair of nines, I'm going to call. He'll call you a lot of times because he doesn't understand the action reaction at all. He doesn't want to get bluffed, so he makes the calls. And he's a hero. Look, he called with a pair of nines because he thinks that the way you're reacting, you're bluffing, you don't have a hand. That's why you've got to know they're watching, and you've got to give 5 different tells when you're playing poker. I know he's watching me. He's looking for my reaction. But they're not smart enough to realize you're looking for reaction. I don't care what his face looks like. I don't care. The only tell that I know of, besides when I get checked raise, which is the biggest tell there is, you check, I bet 100, and then So I got pocket aces. You check, I bet. You come over the top. That's the tell. You've got a set, or you didn't bet the river. Now I make a $50 bet on the river, and then you come over the top. That's another tell that you don't have, that you're bluffing, because you would have bet first with the hand, because you would have wanted to bet to make money. You don't sit there with a full house and check unless you got four of a kind. Even if I got four of a kind, and believe me, on the river, and I'm first to act, I'm making a bet with four of a kind on the river and hoping, a small one to keep them in and go. So it's all act reaction, but that's what you're looking at poker. The only other tell that I know of is when I'm in a hand and it's a pretty nice bet and the guy's watching TV. He doesn't give a shit. He's not looking at me. He's not looking at my reaction. He could care less. He's watching TV. And that's probably the only other tell that I know he's got a strong hand. And every time I've seen a guy watch TV, he's had a hand. So when they don't look at you, they don't care. They're so strong. They don't care what you do. I got you beat. So that's it. I mean, those are like the tells, but the tell is the reaction to your bet. I bet 20, you fold. That's the tell. You don't got any. You're gonna fold when I bet 20. If you got something decent, you'll check back, and then when you really got the big hand, you're gonna raise me. So all I got to do is what do you do when I make the bet? How do you react? And that's the tell. Now, you don't look at the guy. You don't look at his blood pressure, all that bull. Wear glasses. I was once playing in a poker tournament in Canada, and I was just literally ripping the guy next to me because he had a cap and sunglasses on, and I ripped this guy to shreds. I go, "What do you got sunglasses on for?" And I made him tilt so bad. I go, "You look like an idiot." I'm saying this to the guy. I didn't know. I'm from Detroit, not Canada, and the guy's. I'm ripping him, going, "Well, nobody looks at your eyes. Who cares? Why do you got glasses on? What is it? You think that's going to help you? If I need to wear sunglasses to play poker, I'm in the wrong business." So it's like that, and that's what you kind of. I really can get under people's skin if I want to. It depends how you react to me, if I'm friendly to you or not friendly to you. So I suggest if you see me, react friendly. Because if you don't react friendly to me, you're in trouble. I'll kill you, especially at a poker game. So anyway, so that's really the key to life. You're trying to answer questions you don't know the answer to. So you're trying to do you have a good hand? You're trying to know, does the girl like me? You're trying to know, can I trust the quarterback in a football game? Can I bet San Francisco? Can I trust them? Who do I bet on? I look at the game. I try to pick the score because that makes me a better predictor if I can pick this, if I can reasonably pick the score of the game. 20-17 Niners Rams. Okay, I can reasonably predict that score. The game a couple weeks ago was 27-24 in overtime. So they scored 24 apiece. I'm thinking it's the playoffs, a little bit more choking, a little bit more running, a little less going for it on fourth down. I'm picking a lower score. That's why I pick it. It fine-tunes my skill of finding out the answer of what's going to happen. You're trying to get an answer to a question. That's why you do that, to get the reaction. When they print money, gold goes up. So this is what happens when there's inflation, gold goes up. Prices of tuna go up. This is the problem with just-in-time auto companies. I sit there and laugh going, okay, just-in-time will work in certain environments, but now it won't work because you have inflation and the prices are going up. So you should be buying a shitload of stuff now before the price goes up, not just in time. I don't know. Are these idiots listening? Probably not. You'll find out when there's no silver left. The supply on silver is extremely limited. It's used in cell phones, these electric batteries, solar phones. So as you need more, there's not going to be any. You're going to have to pay more. So the smart guy will buy a ton of silver now because I know I'm going to need it on my cell phones, or I'm going to need it for my electric batteries. And it's $20-some an ounce. I'm $1. Buy more. And that's all you really need to understand about gold is why would the Russians and the Chinese buy hundreds and thousands of tons of it if it was a bad thing? How much Bitcoin are they buying? Nothing. So that's all you need to know. If you don't believe anybody, just act and react. The action is they're buying gold, the Russians, the Chinese, at hundreds and thousands of tons of it. The reaction is the price is being kept down, will go through the roof once the shit hits the fan. Will the shit hit the fan? Yes, because they're inflating. So you can see the action is they're printing. The reaction is these governments are buying gold because they know it's going to go up. And then on the side, the JP Morgan's keeping the price down so they can buy more. And then JP Morgan gets a cut of it. So that's really what's happening. But normally it's action reaction. So always think of the reaction to what's happening in anything. Craps, the sixes and eights are coming. I'm going to play that. Sevens are hitting. I'm going to play the don't. Roulette, red's hitting. I'm playing red. Black's hitting back rack, the player, the poker. If I bet 20, how does she react? Women, if I smile at her, how does she react? If she's too aggressive, is she after my money or does she really love me? And that you find out when you stop with the money and then you see how they react. And if they start ignoring you, then you go, oh, she really didn't love me. She just loved my money. Now, all girls want to be taken care of. Don't get me wrong. And they want a guy with money. You have a better chance of getting a girl who loves you, but wants that security. So that's what you're looking at. But you're always looking at reaction to an action. So plan your action. So you're at poker. You don't want to check. And then the guy makes a $50 bet. What do? You don't know. You didn't get any action. You didn't get a reaction to any of your actions. All you got was a check and a check. You don't know. He didn't bet. So, but if you're slow playing, and this is what I see, the guy has kings. And then at the end, the guy makes a bet and he folds because he's never acted to get a reaction. And these guys are idiots. And you're a professional, then Jesus Christ, what am I? How do you not make an action to get a reaction and see how they play the certain hands? That's really it. So that's poker, football. Again, you're looking at how does Joe Burrow react against a good team? How does Mahomes? How does the Niners? How do the Rams? How do the Lions? How does Jacksonville? The biggest question is how do the Jets win those, play good against Tampa Bay and Tennessee. Tennessee runs the ball. Tampa's a passing team, and the Jets beat Tampa, and then they beat Cincy, who's and you're like, how do they do that? And then they lose to Miami and New England and Jacksonville and Houston, and you're like, what the fuck's going on? So you're not getting a good read. And that's why sometimes I say I don't have a good read this week because I put my 20 out, and I keep getting different reactions that I can't figure out. So a lot of the teams, if I go down the list, I don't know what the reaction is to Philadelphia, to Denver, to Detroit, to Chicago, Minnesota, Miami, Indy, Jacksonville, the Jets, Carolina, Houston, Washington, the Giants, New Orleans, Atlanta, Pitt, Baltimore, Cleveland, Seattle, San Diego. They're not giving me any tells, right? So it's extremely hard. I can't say, I used to say, anytime San Diego or Seattle are dogs, I'm betting them. And they would win every time because they had a good quarterback and a fairly good defense and knew they were going to score. And with all the new coaches and new quarterbacks and the coordinators doing the same thing on it, you could turn on a game and not know the jerseys, and it's the same play. They're running that quick out, the wide receiver screen, the crossing route, the four wide receivers here, the running quarterback. It's the same plays on every team. The defense knows what's coming. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So you have all this there's no tells. I can't get a tell on San Diego. I don't know when to bet them. They go and they beat Kansas City in Kansas City and they lose to Oakland. Are you kidding me? How did they lose to Oakland the last week of the year? So it becomes the type, but because it's meshed, you can't tell the Miami of Florida's and the UCLA over teams or the Clemson, Georgia under teams. The pros are all a bunch of mixed teams. They kind of score in the 20s, give up in the 20s. There's no great defense. There's no really great offense. A little bit with Brady, Mahomes. Buffalo gives you a good offense and then loses to Jacksonville 10-6. You wouldn't see Miami lose to Wake Forest 10-6, right? Miami might lose to Clemson because of their defense, or Georgia. I could see Miami losing to Georgia 10-6. But if Miami plays Wake Forest, it's not a 10-6 game, it's a 50-40 game. And so you don't how does Buffalo lose to Jacksonville? Okay, they can lose, but how do they score 6 points? How does Miami shut out Baltimore because they play they blitz 6 guys and Jackson doesn't know what to do with the ball because he's under pressure? I mean, you've got to be kidding. So there is, to get the reaction that I want, that I normally have gotten since the 1970s. Franco Harris, Steelers, Joe Montana, Lawrence Taylor, the 85 Bears, the Cowboys with Jimmy Johnson. You knew the reaction every time. Even Brady, you started, the Kurt Warner. This is the rare time you're not getting any reaction to the action. I don't know. Half the teams I don't know. Half the teams fire again. There's 4 new coaches. There'll probably be another. There's 7 a year. There's all these new quarterbacks. You don't know what they're doing. You can't be a quarterback at college. Look at Trevor Lawrence. He was an average quarterback at Clemson. He comes to the NFL and you're starting the guy and you expect him to be what? What are you expecting when he wasn't that strong at Clemson? He had a good first year. He had a lousy game against Ohio State and Alabama. What are you expecting him to do in the pros when he couldn't do anything against Ohio State or Alabama? He's going to light it up? Are you kidding me? Like Urban Meyer said, it's Alabama every week. We know what he did against Alabama, and he didn't. I don't think he had one good game. A lot of interceptions. The games he did good on, he ran. They beat Buffalo 10-6. He didn't do anything. He probably threw a couple interceptions, but they didn't win because they scored a lot. They won with 10 points because Buffalo turned it over because Josh Allen can't pass the ball because you can't read a defense. So that's what you have. So, again, the key to life is action, reaction. Do an action to get a reaction to learn. And, so it's football, it's poker, it's gambling, it's golf, it's women, it's people, basically. So you're walking up to a person and you're going to do an action to get a reaction. That will tell you about the person. And but you got to look for it. You got to you got to say hello and see how they answer. Then you got a feel of the person, boy or girl, depending on what you're looking for, what you're trying to do. If you're trying to date them, if you're just trying to be friendly and say hello. A lot of times what I'll do is walk up to somebody and start talking football, and then I get a really good read on the person. Do they like gambling? Because if they don't, I don't. I like people that like gambling, that like football. So a lot of it is I'll go, did you see the game? Or, Alabama lost. That's too bad. And I like to see them cry because they're Alabama fans. Stuff like that. So you're really looking for the reaction, but it's what you want. Depending on, if I want to talk about gold, I'll say, do you own any Bitcoin? And it's funny how nobody owns Bitcoin. I'll go up to a guy, are you into Bitcoin? No. You into gold? No. Yeah, maybe, then you start teaching them about gold. So you broach the subject to get the reaction to see if you even like the person. And then you go from there. And it cuts down on a lot of bullshit. And like I said, girls will smile if they don't know you for the money. After the money, then you see if they still like you when they don't. But that's what you're looking. So you want to avoid places where you give an action and you don't get a reaction. That makes it extremely difficult. So be careful with that. All right. That's class for today. I think you've got everything. It's the Niners and the over tomorrow. And I don't really, unless something tragic happens, I think that's it. So I'll come back with a video Monday or Tuesday. Again, www.teaserking.com. Please go. You'll get my email if you want to email me on something. Sometimes people don't like I kind of broach away from football. I try to leave it an open forum to get that. I try to make it a class. I try to teach. So please don't get too negative if we start talking about, like today, I'm talking about gambling and action reaction. I think it's very valuable. I wish I would have known it when I was younger, especially about girls. I think that would be very helpful to know what to do to see if they're interested or not. Girls are very shy creatures, most of them, unless they want your money, then they're not. All right, this is www.teaserking.com. This is Professor saying have a great day, and I hope you enjoy, and I look forward to talking to you again. All right, have a good one.